I'm curious, I mean, when the opportunity to be a part of this show came your way, what was it that most appealed to you? Was it Mindy Kaling? Was it the subject matter? Was it your specific character? Were you just hoping that you would get to attend a naked party at least once during the season? Like what was it?
It was all like literally all three of those things. It was everything and the naked party too, like so four. But it was all of that. It was like, oh my gosh, sex, girls in sex and Mindy Kaling and funny and what.
Yeah, I think I was really fascinated and like interested in the relationships of the four girls. And I thought it was just funny that they're all so different and thrown into this space and have to navigate like becoming friends, and that it happens in such a natural way. And in such a funny way, and also that they have so much agency over their sexuality and their sexual experiences. And I feel like that's something that I was really excited about and something that I rarely see, and especially in this age of young women.
I was excited too, because like reading the pilot, and I loved how I love the title. But reading the pilot, the comedy is so dry and so strong on the page, like standing alone. Like we wouldn't even really have to do much and it would be funny. And so I was like, okay, this will be fun. Like there's room to play. And also like, again, like even if I don't do something right, like it might still be funny. So I was like, an out. There is an out. Yeah, no, but it's the writer's room is really strong. That pilot is damn good on paper.
Yes, the pilot is phenomenal. I didn't actually read the pilot until we got cast. All I knew was the script, the audition sides that Hannah wrote. Hannah Levin was Justin's assistant, who's also a phenomenal writer. But just having a brown girl that's sexual on screen was very exciting to me, and saying all the nasty things that she says. I'm like, I've never seen a brown girl say those crazy things on screen before. How is she even allowed to do this on a script? So that was all very, very exciting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I just love how these are, even though all these girls are a mess in their own way, they still embrace who they are. They're not making apologies for who they are or what they're doing or exploring. And there isn't so much of that guilt that it seems like they feel like they have to put into the character. You know, a lot of shows feel like they have to put some level of guilt in to make it all seem better or something. And I just love how there's a celebration on this show.
Yeah, that's not about, I think that's something that the four of us had so much fun doing, was being able to explore the character's sexuality or the character's relationship to sex in very distinct ways, and feel that there was a nice support system behind it, because you're living with these other girls who go about it so differently. So I think that was definitely like a big, like there was real attraction to the pilot, to our individual characters, just because it was amazing, and there isn't that shameful idea around sex. I would say it's more like we're navigating our feelings of embarrassment, because we don't really understand what it is. But I don't really think at any moment we're made, I guess it's different. I mean, and Reneé, you can speak more to Leighton, because like she's going on her own journey, but there tends to be more of like a nuanced acceptance that sex is happening. Mm-hmm. I think I completely agree with you. I think you even still see that in Leighton, just in the sense of like, a lot of times, not all the time by any means, but a lot of times, like, and this is very real and very, very real experience for queer people, but like, it can be portrayed as someone whose like environment around them is not accepting of their identity or sexuality or things like that, and that is very real and happens more than I would care to talk about. But like, there's also a part of with Leighton, like, she's kind of doing it to herself. I'm not saying that like she, whatever, but I think so much is internalized, and she's like, well, I don't want to be this because I don't want that to change my identity. And I think if she had a part of herself that was like,
cool. It doesn't change anything about you. That is just inherently you, and you just need to like be graceful with like that part of you is beautiful and as it should be, and you don't need to take on these like outside stigmas of like what that looks like or why that's not okay. And of course I think that stems from familial things and in communities where she's been and all that, but I think it's, at least for me, it was nice to, I mean, it sucks, but like it was nice to see that there wasn't a character that was like, you can't do this and you can't be this, because that wasn't necessarily my experience at all times. And it was more similar to Leighton's of like, okay, well, what does this mean for me? And like, how will this change how I'm perceived? And like in spaces where I walk in, is that gonna like read on me now? Like, is this gonna be a thing that's added? So yeah, I totally agree with you, Pauline.
Guilt and shame is something that's taught. We're not like, we come out of our mother's womb being like with our vaginas open, our dicks flying out, and then we're taught to be guilty and shameful about it. I think that's what Bela at least also has to deal with. She's so out about her sexuality, and then there's so many people that challenge her. Why are you so sexual? That means this or that. And she has to reconsider, should I be guilty? Should I be shameful about myself? Is it something that's shameful? So it's something that's taught. It's not inherent in us.
Yeah. And something that I think the show does interestingly is that like, maybe besides Bela, I think each of us have this secret, this like thing that we're trying to keep away from each other. And this thing that we're maybe not ashamed of, but embarrassed about, like Pauline said. And we think that we're so alone in this experience of having a messy sexual life, and like everyone else has it so together, and like I'm in this situation I don't know if I'm proud of, but like we're kind of all in that space separately in very different ways, and then coming together and trying to like maybe cover up the fact that we're in that situation. And I just think it's funny to see how they're all just such a mess and trying to figure it out, but they don't really know that.
Yeah, God, and I mean that's also so real too. I feel like that's like every sexual or intimate experience that I had as a kid was feeling like, oh my God, I'm the only one that feels this way. And like, I'll talk to y'all about certain things and you'd be like, yeah, 100% that happened to me too. And I'm like, so we're not alone. So we're all sad, you know, like that's real. That's real.
And also you always think that like everybody has it figured out, and it's not true. Everybody else always thinks that everybody else has it figured out.
Yeah.
And it's a perpetual cycle of like, what is right? And it's like, there is no right. You're born alone, you die alone. Like you live your life.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, Pauline, for your character, she's the one sort of really kind of wanting a relationship to go along with the fun. So how does that work for her? She develops this crush on Nico. That I think that relationship is so cute. But what can you say about where that will go before the end of the season? Because it seems like nothing is going to not be nothing.
I think that Nico, I mean, without giving anything away, I think Nico is instrumental to Kimberly's realization that you can only be yourself in life. That, you know, you have to keep on your own path, and people and events are going to come in and destabilize you. And the moment where you start veering from what you think is correct or how you want to be in the world and behave is the moment where things start to not go so smoothly. So I think that Nico is like, it's so incredibly impressive to Kimberly that someone of that social class and those looks and the frat life and all that would be interested in like a freshman girl from Gilbert, Arizona. And she lets herself kind of fall into that, which I completely understand. And I think that Nico is then very helpful for Kimberly to then realize what lays ahead in life, you know, what to be wary of.
Yeah, I mean, Alyah, it seems like with your character, she's got herself in a real mess in that, like, she's trying to succeed in athletics, but she's also got herself tangled up with her coach, which those two things just can't. I mean, there's just, so what can you say about where that leaves her during the season?
Well, I think it leaves her in a mess. It's just a pile of shit. She like really creates it for herself. I'm mad at Whitney. I'm like, girl, stop, please. I'm tired of doing this. Haven't we learned? But no, she really has it. And I think that's a lot of the experience of young women as well. They cling to these maybe older men or people who seem they have it more together, or it gives you a sense of confidence that someone like this could be interested in you, could really desire you. And you sort of forget what it looks like and what it actually is from the outside, which could be a little predatory, which could be a little strange. But she so desires being desired by him. It gives her so much. Maybe it's the rebellious nature of her, this thing she has with her mom, where she just wants to be free and make her own decisions, and it makes her feel like more grown or whatever it is, but it really leaves her in a mess. And I think she has to reckon with a lot of mistakes she makes in a way that she really doesn't want to. She doesn't want to admit that she's messing up. She doesn't want to admit that it's going wrong. She wants to say, I have it all figured out. And she really doesn't.
Reneé, would you say that with your character, how she presents herself and who she is and who she knows she is line up anymore by the end of the season?
Like physically presents herself, or like emotionally presents, or both?
She just who she is, the way she presents herself to people is different than who she knows she is.
For sure. I mean, I think, God, I mean, baby's got a long way to go. She really though, I mean, she I think the one really endearing quality that Leighton has that you kind of see throughout the season, much more so in later episodes, she is so damn consistent. She is so consistent, which makes you realize when she gets into situations like in the women's center, and like she starts to like find people who she at first is so judgmental and so rude to, she starts to realize that she like finds comfort in those situations, obviously, duh. And so I think I don't necessarily think her presentation changes. You just get to see more cracks and crevices of it. It doesn't go away in season 1, but you definitely see it more so throughout, and you see it in different relationships, which I love. Like you once we get into like scenes that like we all three have like one-on-one, or like smaller scenes like that, or smaller moments, and then like scenes that Leighton has with people from the women's center and things like that, and these really intimate relationships, you start to see those cracks and crevices. So you see the presentation could be different, but you never get there, which makes you really want it to, because you see how desperately she wants it to be that. She's just not willing to let that go yet, which like makes my heart break, because you're trying to be yourself. You just like are so in your way. And if you would allow yourself to go there, you'd be so much happier.
Well, Amrit, for Bela, how hard is it going to be for her to continue to figure out, like, she knows what she wants and she seems to know what she needs to do to get it, but it's the other people that seem to put those obstacles up for her?
I mean, that's reality though, isn't it? We all have these ideas. I have these big dreams. Amrit have all these big dreams, and there's other people, these systems of patriarchy, of racism, of misogyny that are always in the way. And so she has to decide whether she wants to be a part of this club where she has to accept being a second-class citizen, or she wants to go a different route, which often is harder and takes longer for people of color, but maybe she can be more authentic and true to herself as a result of that.
Yeah, that's why I love watching your characters, because they do become that sounding board for each other. They become that shoulder to cry on for each other. They become the person that they can go to naked parties with.
Yeah.
And, there aren't a lot of people you can do all of those things with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very fun that day. Pauline and I had a pact, and we were making sure that if anything slips out, we had each other's backs, and we were I've never seen that many balls and pussies in a room before, if I can say that. It's like, I've officially seen all shapes and sizes.
Well, I appreciate you guys talking to me. Thank you. I can't wait to see the rest of the show, and you all are fabulous. So thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.